I mean, I guess, what have we done in the past?
Well, this is the first time that we've had a vice chair. The committee's only consisted of myself, no, Paul?
No, yeah, I don't think, what I was gonna say is, I don't see the need for a vice chair, but if we wanna have one, I mean, I mean, the main responsibilities of the chair is to get us organized as a committee.
And that I will do.
And then also be at the,
Yeah.
at the council meetings to report on what we're doing. And then if there's whatever reason you can't be there, you can just ask one of us, you can just check with one of us if one of us can be there to report. But then, so then the secretary, I mean, if you're gonna propose Yasmina as a secretary, you just record the minutes and make sure they're posted, or Michael will post them. I second that.
Yeah.
What did you think, Phil, or Yasmina?
That makes sense to me. If not having a vice chair doesn't impede us from doing business, if Keith can't make it or something, then I don't see the reason to have one.
That sounds good.
I'm good with that.
Cool. So then we have a vote on Yasmina as secretary, or can we combine the post of secretary / vice chair? Why not?
Seconded.
No need for titles.
You like Mina or Yasmina better?
Whatever you're most comfortable with.
I like Mina. Okay, well,
Okay.
that's settled.
Very
Now,
good.
the next order of business, we got public comments, but I don't know if we have anybody out there. Marty, where are you?
Marty's not here. There's one non-committee member on the call, Matt Medavine.
Okay. Hello, Matt. Thank you for joining us here in the office. If you would have any comments, we'd like to hear them. Not.
I do not. Sorry,
Okay,
I'm just joining.
okay,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you for
joining
joining
Matt.
us.
And maybe we should just introduce ourselves to Matt. Matt, my name is Paul McGowan. I'm one of the members of the Community Engagement Committee.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Yasmina Vidaris. I live on Shepherd and I'm a brand new member.
And I'm
Nice to
Keith.
meet you as well.
I'm Keith Allen on Turner Lane. I'm the last house on Turner, where it abuts and adjoins the park. Do you have kids?
I have two right now that are about to be under me.
So
Yes.
you've probably been down to the park with them. Stop by and say hello. My house has got the white fence around it.
What street are you on, Matt?
Paul wants to know what street you're on, Matt.
You might be muted, Matt.
He just dropped off the call.
Oh, okay.
Matt's the owner of the house that's being developed on Quincy Street. I have a feeling he was joining the wrong meeting,
I
so
think you thought it was something else.
he's the
Yeah.
developer.
Oh, he dropped off very quickly,
Oh,
didn't he?
he's re-entering, and he has the right to be here as an owner in the
Of
village,
course,
so.
Absolutely. We'd like to meet him personally.
All right, can you hear me? Sorry,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
have that service.
We can hear you loud and clear, Matt.
Where I'm on Quincy Street. We actually don't live there. We are developing the house 151 Quincy Street.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, if you're ever down on Turner Lane, maybe you could, how old are your children, Matt?
2 and 4 months.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
They're a little
Yes.
young to, appreciate, I guess, the Halloween celebration that we're gonna have on the last Sunday of this month, but why don't you and your better half and the children stop by between 3 and 5:30 PM on Sunday, October 29th. We'd like to meet you and introduce yourself if you can. We're gonna have, hopefully, I'm gonna have the Montgomery County Fire Department there, Fire and Rescue.
Well, that's a good
Excellent.
segue to move into our next topic.
And Paul McGowan's 1960 Cadillac.
That's might be joyful, I'm not sure.
You're gonna
I
have to
appreciate it.
He's gonna have to resurrect that. All right, well, thank you very much for being with us. If you want to stick around here, Matt, would appreciate having you.
Sure.
Okay, and now, before we talk about the Halloween event on the 29th, do you know Mrs. Kraft? Leah Kraft, I think she's at 3416 Taylor Street. She called me. She is in the process of putting together a get together, maybe at La Ferme. She's checking in there to see what can be done there on some Sunday in the foreseeable future to sort of bring people in the community together. I think she wants to pay for it out of her own pocket, she and her husband. I don't know what discussion she's had with Matt on that, but I think it's a great idea. She, like a lot of other people, are very concerned about some of the things that are going on in the world today. And some of that has reared its ugly head right here in our communities. So she wants to sort of bring everyone together, which I think is wonderful. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, if
Matt?
I can, Leah's on the new task force, the anti-Semitism awareness. So that's what this is about. They did meet and discussed holding some sort of event around the holidays in December. So I think that's
Yeah,
what
she asked me about a tent, and I told her I didn't think that was a good idea in December. So that we would be better off going indoors. But I think it's a wonderful idea. Okay, so then the big deal for the fund committee here.
Sorry, just a moment.
Sure.
Are they asking for support from us? How are they asking for the committee to be engaged in the event?
Well, it would be more, I guess, rest on the shoulders of her committee, but I don't know if she was
Well,
looking
it
for
would be a proposal to the council.
to the council. Okay, that's.
I mean, the council ultimately has to
Yes,
dispense the money.
Absolutely, but I didn't
So-
know whether that was what she wanted. I thought maybe they were gonna pay for it out of their own pocket.
That would be very generous.
She didn't bring up.
And also
She didn't bring
quite
it up,
expensive.
Sue, yeah, she didn't bring up anything about the council. I'll check with her again. I asked her to be here tonight, and I've tried to reach her back. Because she was gonna let me know after she talked to La Ferme today. How much it would be, so maybe before we get through, she'll join us.
Not-
But she's,
It'll be a couple months away. There will be at least one interim meeting, so
right,
we can
Okay.
discuss
Great.
later.
That sounds great. It's a good idea.
very good.
Mhm.
So the Halloween, we're moving along on that, and that's really very exciting, especially for the children. And
I have an update on the Halloween event, if we're moving to that on the agenda now. The last year, I looked at the food vendors and the different vendors for the event, including we had Roaming Rooster food truck.
right,
I went ahead and reached out to them and confirmed them for this year's event, with Aaron's help, of course. And so they're booked. I was worried about them, all the food trucks getting booked up. So
their books.
no,
Well, they're
we
cool.
booked them. We
Okay,
booked them and I
okay.
already paid a
Okay,
deposit, so they're
okay.
confirmed they'll be here.
All right, very good.
We also reached out to the park, which we have to do months ahead of time before for the Montgomery County Park Department to process the permits. So we went ahead and did that and got that permit secured as well. So the parks there and the food trucks there. Other vendors that we had last year were including Good Humor Ice Cream Truck.
I'll take care of AJ on that.
Okay, and we'll coordinate with me so that we can make sure we pay them and
Okay.
confirm the amount ahead of time.
Right.
And then the DJ last year for this event, they used DJ Josh Goldman of DJG Events. though I know we've used other DJs at different events. For the 4th of July, we used the DJ that came with the Mid-Atlantic Adventures, which did the water slide, and he was connected to that contract. So we can reach out to him and see the guy that was there last year and see if he's available again. And then the grant event, a grand event is the service that sets up the tents and the tables and does all of that stuff. We have not booked them yet, but we did reach out to confirm that they are available that day, and they are. So once we have an idea of what we want to set up, go ahead, Phil.
Oh, no, finish, Michael, and then I can circle back.
Okay. So they're available whenever
Who is
we're
that? What's the name of that company? Mid-Atlantic?
A grand event.
a grand event. They
Grand
do the
event.
tables and the
You
tents.
said that, yeah.
We had to book at the last minute last year
Uh-huh.
because things were quite in flux.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
This was right before I started. Yeah.
So Andrew and I were kind of holding down the fort. And there had been a really good service the year before. For the same.
Oh, really?
tables and chairs and.
That you think we should use instead of them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
We
think-
could do a price and compare.
Make sure that disc jockey has a public address system. It has a microphone that it has
Yeah,
a,
he did.
PA.
The guy from last year did, so he was able to give instructions. on
Okay.
Oh, yo, I see.
Where to go and what to do.
Okay,
and when
good.
the parade
All
started.
right.
Got it.
And then he was, the guy last year.
The
was pretty
DJ
good
should
about
have a
that.
microphone and be
Yeah.
able to make announcements in this. Okay. Yeah. So the DJ, the tables, once we have an idea of how big, I haven't even looked at how you all set up for this event or anything. Because again, this was right before I started, but, and then the last one was we had FaceWorks, face
face
painting,
painting. Susan, last year, did they bring the tables and chairs that day? Because in past years, they've always brought them to my house like on Friday.
I think they did bring them that day.
Okay, because that's what we want to do.
That's better.
I think that's much better.
They did. But that's something you can. note down.
Michael, take care of that.
Okay. Is there anything else? I know we said the fire truck.
Well, we're gonna have, we had a problem. Michael can explain that 4th of July. Because they were gonna try to get some other fire equipment down, including an ambulance. To show it off to the people and the children. And that didn't work out because there was just, too much congestion.
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do, because, you know, they could get a call. To respond somewhere, I'd like to try to get everybody to back down the street. So they don't have to turn around and there won't be any confusion with that. And the Montgomery County Fire Chief, you know, I've been in touch with him, he'll be there, or be here. With the whole crew of people.
I have
Now-
a. Oh, go ahead. Mike.
Go ahead, Phil.
Just a couple thoughts. I'll start in reverse on the fire truck, which I really hope they're going to bring the antique pumper again. That was so cool to see last time. I wonder if you know, one of the other villages, and I think it's for their 4th of July celebration, they actually start their celebration in another part of the village and sort of follow the fire truck into the site. Like they do like a parade. And my recollection from last year is that it sort of interrupts the event to have a parade, you know, at the end. And as Keith said, they can always have a call. And so I wonder if the way to handle it is to basically have a starting point that's elsewhere in the village, let all the kids and their bikes and everything follow the fire truck into the party site and sort of start with the parade rather than finish with it.
Well, that's interesting because we've never thought about that before. People have asked me about at the end. And we've always done that where they follow the fire trucks up to Brookville and then it stops. That maybe if people want to, they can parade throughout other streets in the village.
Maybe, but I would suggest we not have the kids cross Brookville for
Mm.
sure.
And I agree with that.
Wouldn't want.
No, I agree
Yeah,
with
I
that.
think that's a great idea, Phil, but the only access to Turner Lane is via Brookville.
Unless they go back around behind the stores.
Yeah, but it would have to be blocked off to keep the kids safe, and that would be my concern with folks shopping the stores, unless the film gave us permission to use their parking lot.
As a staging
as a-
area.
Yeah, the staging area, and then that would be a safe area for the kids.
That's
Oh.
also only accessible via Brookville Road and would still require coming down Brookville Road to get to the, yeah.
Well, let's
We
make it
don't
this-
have a great setup for a parade, to be honest with you. I mean, the one block, but beyond that, we don't have a great,
Unless they
Second
parade it
meeting
through the
point.
Park up to Shepherd Street.
Yeah.
Well,
Shepherd
I,
Street.
I guess when I've participated and I've crashed the other villages 4th of July party because it's great. I will say they go out on Brookville, and the reason they do that is because they have the escort of the fire trucks, one in the front, one in the back, to sort of block off traffic. But they do go out on Brookville.
All right, we're gonna settle this now. We're gonna take a vote on that because I can understand the concern of safety, even with the fire department.
So what would your specific starting point be then, Phil?
I think we would want to think about it. I don't know that it has to be super long, but I think, at least from my perspective, the sort of parade, I think the kids wanted to sort of parade behind the fire truck for longer than they got the opportunity. That's my recollection. It was very short because it's just the bottom of the street to the top of the street. And it does sort of interrupt the flow. And as Keith said, there's always a chance they get called away. And then you can't do the parade if you end with it versus start with it.
I know that they've got it covered so that there would be people at the fire station at Company 6 at Wisconsin and Bradley. But they've also got it covered by people with the Rescue Company 1 over at Auburn Avenue, or Battery Lane rather, with the Bethesda Rescue Squad. The Company 20 out on Old Georgetown Road, and the nearest fire department over here, Company 7 on Connecticut Avenue, in case that happened, so that they would not have to go on the run, on the call. But you never know if it was a big fire, house fire, something like that. We need to decide how we're gonna do this.
Well, would it be feasible to get everybody to meet, like, let's say at the basketball court at Turner and Brennan, and then go down Turner, take a right on Brookville, then take a right on
Thornapple Street,
I'm
Taylor
getting
Street.
Shepherd and Brennan, right where the basketball court is. If we want to have a longer parade for the kids, at the tennis court, yes, sorry, Yasmin, yeah. So the tennis court, get everybody to meet at the tennis court playground. At Shepherd and Brennan. Start the parade there. Parade down Shepherd, take a right on Brookville, it's only like about 100 yards. Take a right on Turner, and then parade into where the party is. And then so you're saying two things, Phil. A, make the parade longer, and B, start the party with the parade.
Yep. You got it.
I mean, if we can organize the logistics with the fire people and they're okay with that, but they might say, I mean.
I think Phil's got a good idea, but by the time we were ready for the parade, you'd have most of the kids down at my house anyway. And that's how we've always done it before, and logistically, we wouldn't have a problem. If we were gonna go through the neighborhood, it should be, I think it would work better at the end because that's when everybody would be there. I don't think you'd get that many people there at the very beginning of it.
Actually, you're right, because, so then we could, well, I mean, I'm just trying to go with what Phil's suggesting about a longer parade. Then continue
We
what we're
can still
doing,
do that.
have the parade at the end, but start going down Turner. Take a left on Brookville, and then take a left on Shepherd, and then end up by the basketball court. If the fire people can do that.
You know, I think that's a really good idea. The other thing that, I think our village has lost a lot of Halloween spirit in recent years because some of the families have migrated to the other side of Brookville where the streets are more narrow and it's easier to celebrate
Yes.
Halloween. So it'd be nice if something were happening on Turner and then Brookville and Shepherd, because we could encourage folks to decorate their houses and you know, create a lot of spirit for the kids.
Yeah,
So that even though you're probably not gonna see the kids on the evening of Halloween, you get to see them for the parade, which,
It's
yeah,
fun.
it's nice.
And the kids love an extra opportunity to show up there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Always.
Susan, Paul, Mina, Michael, what about if you don't want to leave out the north end. That maybe we could go back behind the stores, go down Taylor, go down to Chestnut or Dellfield, come back around and come back up that way and maybe even go up to Shepherd Street and then come back down to the park. Why not?
I don't
Sure.
know. I mean, I guess the only limitations are the stamina of your walkers.
Yep,
If you've got
what do you think?
3-year-olds, they may not.
Some of the kids are really little, so we have to keep it short.
Mhm.
But I don't see any problem with, you know, shaking up the parade route every year.
Mhm.
Like if we find that it works that easy, we find that this works this year. Maybe next year we do a different route, so another side of the village gets to
Yeah.
enjoy it.
yeah.
That's a good
You
idea.
got a great idea, Mina. That's the way we're gonna do it. I like
Cool.
that.
Okay.
All right.
Someone named iPad just joined the call.
We would like to have them chime in here if, I'm still. looking-
This is Naomi, Naomi
Oh,
Nyman.
hi, Naomi, how
I
are
will,
you?
I will
Welcome.
rename myself.
Welcome.
Just two, I think either two or three other quick comments about last year in trying to improve on what we did last year. My recollection, and others should check me here, is that it gets really crowded in that cul-de-sac when we set up the sort of tables and chairs in there. And I wonder if the better approach is to set up the tables and chairs on the lawn.
Mhm.
And because the food trucks are going to have their own lines and the ice cream truck is going to have their own lines. And with all the tables and chairs there, my recollection is it got really crowded really quickly. And I wonder if you spread people out just a little bit more by putting the tables and chairs.
And we would have more room to move the equipment around it. You're on with that, Phil. We're gonna do it that way.
I
then.
do think
That's a
the
great idea.
putting the food trucks actually in legal parking spaces along the sidewalk so that the lines can form on the sidewalk, kind of in front of Keith's house, is actually would be better than having them park in the middle of the cul-de-sac and then asking the fire department only to bring the fun vehicles and not all of their transport vehicles.
Yeah.
For 4th of July, they were quite literally blocking the road, which is not very first responder of them. And to the point where the food trucks couldn't get in, the food trucks that were arriving late couldn't even get into the party and were delayed because we had to wait for people to find their keys and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I think if we can move the food trucks out of the way, and then if we can set up the tables in the grass, the only thing I'll say is if there's any rain, the grass gets really wet, and even the water runoff from the slipping slides was creating quite a ditch there, and we had state representatives ankle deep in water at some points.
So I got
So
a call from the Montgomery County Fire Chief and also from the command center in Montgomery County because they were concerned that they had done something wrong because somebody spoke up to them and wasn't too happy with things here, and they aim to please, and they were concerned about that, so.
No, I know,
But you were right.
we
That
appreciate
was
them
right.
being here, but we
Yeah,
just
that-
need our road cleared, so.
Yeah, we'll make sure that doesn't happen again, Mike.
And then real quickly, on the food truck and the ice cream truck, my recollection is that Roaming Rooster got pretty overwhelmed pretty quickly. And I'm the one who worked with them last year, and one of the first questions they asked was, how many people, and are you going to have a second food truck? And it may be too late to do that, but I do wonder if there's benefit to at least considering a second food truck, because I know that people were waiting, in some instances the lines were as long as like 20-30 minutes. So I'll just one other comment on the ice cream. I don't know, Keith, if it's a possibility to do like ice cream bars. My recollection is that they were doing like soft serve sundaes. And when you can't just hand the kid an ice cream, the line backs up substantially. I remember the line for the ice cream was like really, really substantial. People were, I seem to recall people were sort of like walking away because it was so long at some point. But I think that was less attributable to the quality of the product and more attributable to the way in which it was dispersed.
Phil, I can take those in reverse order. The ice cream truck does do ice cream bars. This is AJ. They have worked the last two events, the election event on the sidewalk celebration, and then also the 4th of July event. And they had ice cream bars for both of those times. So
that worked out well, didn't it?
I think that was fine. Yeah. They had to plug in, I think, into your house for the 4th of July party, but it was also like 100 degrees that day. So and then for the food trucks, we have extra money this year, so I don't think we're restrained as far as the budget is concerned, at least not this early in the year. And I'm happy to look into seeing if there's other food trucks. So far, how I've been doing that is just by asking Aaron to call different food trucks that we know of. So if you have, and I think you all made some recommendations that we called them all and exhausted that list. So if you all have some food truck recommendations or ones you've seen around, I'm happy to call some additional companies. I guess I would want something that's different. I guess we have Roaming Rooster now, so maybe a different type of food truck. I really wanted to get Timber Pizza out here, but they never responded to my last inquiry for what their cost was. But
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask is, I feel like when my kids were small, all we had was pizza. I mean,
Well, that's right. We have,
but
you remember
it
the
was
pizza?
so easy.
Yeah, the pizza, that's right. We had those. What was the name of the place that we had? You might look that up because we used them for many years. No,
I think it was,
it's in DC. What's the name of that place? It's right on the tip of my tongue. If anybody's out there, help me, please. I think New York pizza is part of it. It's Chicago pizza or something anyway. Michael, you got a record of that. That was very, very popular because, and submarine sandwiches, yeah.
yeah, how hard is it to just order a bunch of pizzas? Is that what you're...
That's what we did.
That's what we used to do, and so. I mean, I think food trucks are great, and I also think. If there were a way to use that budget for a food truck event, maybe we could talk about that, like a different event, like that's more like, I
Yeah.
don't.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that
Well,
would
I know
be-
we already do have the ice cream truck and the food truck. So maybe what we do is order a bunch of pizzas to show up, even if it's just
tables. and-
Domino's or something nicer, but we will have the tables and chairs, and we will have, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to bring like plates and napkins.
Yeah, I
Susan,
think I'm.
the
it's
pizzas
just
are
driving
good,
me crazy.
don't you like that idea?
Serving lunch.
I
Pizzas.
do. I mean, it was always very popular with kids,
Mhm. Okay,
but I think even, yeah, I think it's.
Popular
easy
with Michael, too.
To supplement with that, too.
Yeah, the food trucks are expensive, you know, it ends up being, I have some of the prices here, but yeah, the food truck is 2,500, you know, so.
That's a lot. Look,
I mean,
please-
they serve, 300 meals easy when.
Yeah, please
at our
look up
events.
tomorrow who we used. It's a
It's
company.
gonna be crazy. I think.
Well, we're very well known,
Yeah, yeah.
very well known, and they did great.
I bet maybe Jean would come up.
I was
Oh,
just gonna say,
it'll
that was
actually be
Gene
on
Woodring.
records.
Yeah,
It'll be from-
you can find it.
We'll find it. And if not, we'll order pizza from somewhere else. There's plenty of places that deliver pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, Potomac Pizza actually.
I can probably just get on Uber Eats and order 1,000 pizzas.
Uber
Yeah.
Eats.
Yes.
Potomac Pizza.
Yeah.
It's,
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Bill? You like that idea, Philip?
Sounds good.
You go with the pizza, okay. All right,
And we're just doing that to supplement the food truck. So
Right.
that'll do it. That'll do it.
it's
okay,
great.
so you would still have a food truck?
The food truck's already confirmed, so it's coming.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
The only other vendor that I remember that we haven't talked about from last year is the mini pumpkins. And maybe that wasn't a vendor, but they did Pumpkin
That's Paul Wolf.
decoration.
Paul Wolf, they brought a whole bunch of pumpkins and put them in my yard. He's done that for years. You
Did he
remember
bring
that,
them-
Susan?
I do, but did he bring them last year?
No, I thought Katie
I thought
went and got
Katie
them
got
last year.
them,
Katie,
yeah.
yeah. Well, we could,
But we can find out, just get them.
I think
it
that's
is
still a
good
good,
thing.
great
And then
idea.
there's a Pumpkin painting.
they
Yeah.
used to, the kids used to do the painting, the pumpkin
Yeah.
painting, that is fun.
And I love that, so,
Is that's an event that we just set up?
yeah.
Well.
Um,
no,
So
well,
like, do I need to go buy paint and
If
stuff?
if we were doing this parade and we had the kids end up at the tennis court, we could have the pumpkins up at the tennis court and it could be like a parting gift for them to take home.
Oh, that's good.
That, so they don't have to carry them on the parade or, because they're wet, It's a mess.
That's a good idea.
That's a
let's
good
do
idea.
that then. That's a great.
We can have an
idea.
extra table set up there with a little goodbye gift.
Absolutely.
We have several staging.
If you complete our longer parade, there will be an enticement.
Very good. Marty, where are you?
To join. How many pumpkins do you think we need? This is great, just telling me what things that happened last year, because again, I wasn't there, so.
I would ask Katie.
Katie,
Yeah,
Katie.
probably.
I'd say it's probably about 100, somewhere between 80 and 100.
Sounds about right.
But they were like little sort of smaller
Yep.
pumpkins, good-sized pumpkins.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that day of, so. Okay,
All right, the other thing, Michael, are the drinks. We supplied last year and, we ran out of the drinks. We need to get a little bit more of that.
well, we
Uh,
ran out of drinks at the 4th of July party,
Yeah.
part of that being it being 100 degrees. And then for the movie nights, I ended up having way too much. I still have soda in the fridge from
Yeah.
leftover
Oh,
from the
okay.
last movie
Well.
night. So,
We're only gonna have soft drinks, no alcohol.
right, bring your own.
I wouldn't even encourage that.
Right, but people do as they choose, yeah. Has that been working though? Me just running to Safeway and buying a bunch of stuff?
That works great.
It's great.
I've got the buckets down there. We can put the ice in those. You've got your,
Coolers,
yeah.
drinks.
We're good on that.
Anything else people can think of for the,
So who will get the drinks?
I will.
You will? Okay. Thank you.
And I have the village's credit card, so I just,
That's why he's getting the drinks.
and that saves me from having to reimburse everybody
Yeah,
or so.
it's much easier. Thank you.
Mhm.
The only other thing that I remember that we did last year that I thought was, I thought we did a good job. We did paper flyer the event. And that seems to always make a difference in terms of attendance. And so enlisting the street captains to help us paper flyer.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll make another flyer. We've done that for all the events since I've been here at least. And I'm happy to print those off and distribute them to street captains or to anyone that wants to help out, spread those. No problem. And I guess that brings us to the next agenda item, unless someone has, which is the street captains, unless someone else has, anything for the Halloween event.
Actually, it's the community survey.
Oh,
That's the next on the agenda.
got it.
So let's make sure we're satisfied with this, with the parade, because that's the most important thing here on the agenda.
Right.
So it's
Do we need to have an administrative get together? So, because you all are going to make a bunch of phone calls, it sounds like, for the DJ, and for the tables and for Faceworks. Do we need to come back together once you've sort of confirmed that, or if we have to make decisions because you can't confirm them, do we want to go ahead and put that on the calendar?
I can confirm them and I can just update you all if you would. We don't have that much time. I mean, we're looking at, I think 2.5 weeks here.
We're looking at 2 weeks from this Sunday.
Right. So if I can maybe set a deadline by the end of next week, I'll have flyers and hopefully all the vendors lined up. I'm going to task Aaron with some of this.
That makes sense.
Does that work?
And just send an email.
Yeah, I'll send an email to the whole committee with an
Okay.
update and the flyers too.
Yeah.
I've never been on the organizing end of these events. How do we organize ourselves in terms of supporting the event? So it's not all on Michael. Inherently.
Historically, it is sort of it is the role of the village manager to take care of the ordering, to actually be responsible for making the final decisions on the vendors, for example, paying the vendors. And then the organizational part has typically been volunteering at the event and figuring out who can be there at what times and what roles you take in terms of setting up and how you can assist with the table
Yeah.
placement of the pumpkins this year and other functions.
Yeah, and I might focus more on the vendor side, making sure everyone's paid and lined up and there on time and all of that. If so, I see it as the committee's primary job to get everyone out and make sure, the next thing happens at the event. Keith is always on it.
I've had enough experience with it. Nobody's had more experience, and my humble abode is the focal point there.
Party Central.
Yeah.
So will you give us an option on this?
There'll be quite a few things on the day that if we're just around and we can kind of do them. I remember on the day we needed to tell the DJ to make various announcements about various things. So it's just being sort of Johnny on the spot on the day.
Yep.
And that'll be fine. And kind of coordination.
This has always been our most successful event,
Mhm.
with few glitches. Naomi, are you there? Naomi Nyerman, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, guys.
Yeah, I want you to comment on this and give us your approval or disapproval or any ideas that you might have, Naomi.
Well, I love, if you were talking about the Halloween parade party, I've always loved that event. So thank you for continuing it. It's amazingly popular. And I'm sorry that I couldn't join the meeting earlier. Have you had a chance to discuss, or did someone chime in about our thinking about having a Hanukkah party in early December?
Yeah, we discussed that before you came on, Naomi.
Okay, then I don't need to revisit that. Just so you know, we are obliged to have a survey, a community survey like you are. And I think we need to think about whether I don't see how we can combine the two, but we may want to coordinate them so they don't come out at the same time. So we should probably coordinate that part of our work.
I think, Paul, I don't think we need to have two.
So Naomi, that's a good segue to our next agenda item. Which
I
is
know.
which is a community engagement survey,
Mhm.
which we haven't discussed and we haven't agreed what it's going to be or when it's going to be, but it sounds like you've already got a survey in mind. You wanna tell us a little bit about that and when that will be?
Sure. Hi, Paul. Nice to see you, even if it's at a distance. I recognize your lovely accent. Hi, everybody else.
Thank you,
Susan,
Naomi.
Michael. We are obliged under our mission statement to conduct a survey. We haven't discussed when. Our next meeting is Monday, the 16th, which I think is next Monday. And one of our experts is going to come up with some questions. I don't know how many questions we're going to have, whether it makes sense to combine the two. They're two totally different issues, and it may be that one would kind of confuse the other. I have a feeling that our committee is going to want to know to what extent people are aware of the spike in anti-Semitism all over the country, and including our county. So part of it is public awareness, to what extent people are aware of it, to what extent they want to become more educated about it, and to what extent they're willing to be engaged in programs that we're going to hopefully offer, training, education, what to do when you see something, how do you recognize it, et cetera, et cetera. There are many, many resources out there that we can borrow on. We don't need to invent our own. So that ours is more of a needs assessment and awareness. And I don't know how many questions we're going to have and whether it makes sense to combine the two surveys.
And do
I'm
you
just
have a
totally-
totally on when you would like to get the survey out?
You know, my thinking is it's probably going to be earlier rather than later, because we're probably going to want to design our programs accordingly.
Yeah.
So
Now, if I can clarify
let me
here,
ask, please, yes.
I think the agenda point item 5 here for this committee, the community engagement survey. I'm not sure how that ended up on the agenda. Someone recommended it.
Phil, was that your suggestion?
And I thought maybe it was.
It was, yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, Naomi, thank you for that background. Like as I mentioned, Phil suggested this, but we haven't discussed anything about it. So maybe it's a good time, Phil, for you to, what did you have in mind about the community engagement survey?
Yeah, I think like just at a very high level, we haven't done anything like that before. And my sense is that there are probably quite a few good ideas out there that, just by virtue of the fact that we're a small committee, you know, folks may have ideas for how we spend our time and money and effort that we haven't considered, or may have feedback, you know, for us about the events that we're doing that we've never received. And I wondered whether or not, given that, you know, there are easy to use tools out there, whether it might be something we would consider doing this year to sort of pull the village and see what ideas we haven't considered, if folks have ideas for events, or what feedback they have for us.
I think there is a question on the survey that goes to all residents in order to poll how they feel about all the events, if there are any suggestions they have for other events. And I think that is more likely to garner responses. Frankly, I think people can be over surveyed and they just ignore them all.
When did that survey go out, Susan?
It hasn't gone out this year, but it's an
Oh.
annual survey that goes out in
Okay.
October, late October, November, the latest. So it
That's
always,
interesting. I don't know that we ever saw the results.
they're posted.
The results
But
get
they're
shared
also-
out. Yeah.
Okay.
And there are, I think there's even several questions, you know, it lists all the
Yeah, I
events
think
for the
it's
year and
really-
asks us which
yeah.
ones you attended, and then it asks us for ideas and those types of things.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
I mean, I agree with Phil. I don't know if I missed something, but I never saw, if there was a survey last year, I never saw any results, and I don't think we ever discussed it as a committee, so maybe we should take a look at the results of that survey and then,
And maybe use street captains to get people to answer them.
yeah.
That would be really great. That's some responses for us.
And the other thing,
What's the response rate of the survey?
I don't know, like maybe 25%,
I don't have it in front of me. It has been,
25 to 30%, maybe less.
it was posted for about 2 weeks in December, and we got some pretty good turnout. I'm happy to share those results with you all. And the other thing I'll say is I've recently attended some trainings talking about community surveys, and they were saying that the big annual surveys aren't really best practice anymore. Actually, a lot of people are trying to get away from them and moving more towards spot checking and more frequent check-ins. One idea you could do is, and having metrics and data, you know, how many people attend, you know, and start tracking all of that information. I don't think this committee's done that, other than kind of, you know, a head count at the events that I do, but I haven't been putting that anywhere, reporting out any sort of official way. I think that would be a good idea. And then also, even at the events, we could implement some sort of, you know, idea board or something like that, where people can come and write ideas. How would you make this event better, or those types of things? I think there's a lot of things you can do short of issuing another annual survey that's just gonna distract from the other surveys that are already high priority.
It's a great idea as well to solicit feedback from children who don't normally participate in.
Good point, yeah.
event surveys, since these events are for them and their parents. Yeah.
Would the committee like a table at the Halloween event, like specifically to set up to talk about maybe, you know, the different events throughout the year, or talk about what you're working on or what your focuses are this year? Or an admin table that has, you know, the plates and cups and directions about where the,
People can't get pizza or chicken until they
And
contribute to our survey.
You might want to,
Wait for you.
I want to reach out to Jean Sperling. She in the past, and I know she did this last Halloween, she had a table set up for Chevy Chase at home.
Yeah.
at the Halloween event?
I mean.
Because I know at the
no,
celebration on
like
the sidewalk.
Celebration on the sidewalk. And we
Yeah.
We had a.
We set up
community-
down there.
There
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
just a little ahead of it, I
Well,
think, so. Yeah, I think, I like the idea of asking the kids. And you could have an admin table, or you could dispense pizza.
We could just
And-
have a board
and-
with post-its.
Yeah.
yeah.
And just kind of collect opinions.
So if someone on the committee wants to kind of take that on or lead that table, I would be happy to help set that up and buy, you know, purchase any supplies, post-it notes, or fun color pens. Does that work?
Yep.
You all support that?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, a greeting table.
That's an innovative idea.
But then, so we got the table for Halloween, and then we'll put a little roster system, and each of us will sit there for 45 minutes or whatever.
That's good.
That's great.
But then, Phil, can I suggest, as far as the community engagement survey is concerned, you know, number one, Naomi, it sounds like, you know, your committee, you guys go off and do whatever you need to do and keep it separate from what we're doing. But then number two, we need to
Oh,
look-
wait, before you go on, I actually don't agree. I really think we should coordinate. Because by definition, we're doing outreach into the community. We're planning events, education and so on. So we probably should coordinate. And we
mean,
do
but-
have a liaison.
I mean, Naomi, you guys decide what you want to do. I'm just saying, you
Okay.
indicated that you wanted to have yours sooner than later. And we don't
Yeah,
have a
okay.
timeline for what we're going to do, because we're going to put this table together at the Halloween party. We're going to
Okay.
review the community engagement suggestions from the last survey that none of us have seen. And then we're going to sort of take stock of where we are after the Halloween party. So, you know, if you tie yourselves dust, God knows when it could go out. But if you want to do what you need to do, you know, it's up to you.
Thank you, but we'll keep you posted.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Naomi.
My pleasure.
Any comment that you might have, Rita? Phil, anything?
No, that sounds great to me. I'm glad that we already have the questions built into the existing survey. I'm now really curious to look at the results.
Very good. Okay,
Hopefully there's not a bunch of actionable feedback for the Halloween party.
okay. All right, now the street captain engagement. We want to talk a little bit about that.
So, I mean, can I start?
Yes,
Keith, so
absolutely.
I think for the last couple of years, I've been the person on the community engagement committee who is the
Liaison.
Liaison with the street
you have been,
captains.
Yes, yes.
and I think, you know, all that I've done really is about 2 years ago, I sent out an email to all the existing street captains and said, hey, would you like to be a street captain? Would you like to continue it? Some of them said yes, some of them said no. And then we've recruited a couple of new street captains. And then the third thing we've done is mainly for events. We've asked the street captains to help us distribute flyers. And that's it. For what it's worth, I'd love it if the street captains could be recognized at the annual volunteer party. And then,
Oh, yes.
you know, because and then I mean, I tried to have a happy hour a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't really organized.
That went
short
over very,
notice.
that went
Well,
over.
that was nice, but we had like, you know, I think we had like two street captains show up because everybody's got stuff to do. But I'd like to figure out a way we could, you know, better engage the street captains, whether that's like specifically inviting them to join this meeting or, you know, I don't know.
Well, we want to give them a little bit of notoriety and appreciation.
Can you list again the things that they do as part of their job description? I was looking for some sort of scope of work for
So,
them,
yeah,
and I couldn't find anything, so maybe.
Then I can send you something, because what I did this is 2 years ago when I started this.
Okay,
And I sent out this is what the street captain does, and I can find that and send it to you.
great.
But it's mainly around just helping with communication and helping with engagement.
Nobody does it better than Lynn. Right?
So are they still currently involved in, tracking down voter roll, issues? Do they do any?
No, the two big things where,
They were.
yeah,
Okay.
nothing like that. The two big things where, you know, if somebody new comes in, moves into your street,
Mhm.
tell the village manager, get a little welcome wagon bag for
Yes,
them.
Sure.
And then secondly, when we have an event, here's the flyer,
Here's
Right.
a
you know,
Yeah.
distribute
example
the
of the
flyer.
bag.
Yeah.
Yasmina
I mean, I
wanted
know
to see this.
How it has been traditionally,
Yeah.
and that's how I thought it still was, but at one point there was
That's nice.
discussion of expanding the role. Those are nice, aren't they? Makes you want to move to the UNA.
Yes, they are.
So because
And I think that we do a gift card in those, and we
Mhm.
do a map of the village, which is really nice. We had redone. And there's the directory and just a couple of, you know, things.
this is super. So I was thinking one of the things that, just because I've got some neighbors who've been on the street for several years and still not in the directory. Maybe they've been ignoring your email, Michael. But maybe we could put a little QR code on the back of the directory this year. To a form, a little Google form, or if that's the easiest, wherever you want to do. It's just so people can easily add their information. And that could be included in this welcome package, because I think it's really important for us as a committee, if we want to engage people, to be able to reach them. So
So the directory gets updated every 2 years. So I have a online version that's more up to date than the
Yeah.
hard copy one, of course.
hey, great.
And yes, there are of course errors in that directory.
Can this be online?
Okay, and that's
Just
A
trying.
lot of discussion, right?
Susan and I are advocates for that as well. So we're on the same page here. We'll see if we can pull that off next year when that gets redone. I would say for now, there is a form that an old form that we hand out to people when they first move into the village.
Yeah,
And the street captains hand that out to them and ask them to fill it out, but that asks us for all their information.
yeah.
So
We throw that into a Google.
We could absolutely do that.
Google
Yeah,
form?
yeah.
Okay, excellent. With a QR code?
So
The QR code, I'll figure out. Yeah,
Because
they
that
can't
could
give
be
it.
something that we can hand out at the Halloween parade. So that we can capture right there and then, people who are having a good time, capture their
Yeah.
information.
And
so-
everything's done on
Yeah.
paper now. I mean,
Yeah.
and that we should update a little bit. Yeah.
Does anyone want to see this? Can you see this one?
it's really cool.
And
I've handed out a couple of those.
so Paul, were you saying that you were gonna do that again as well this year, follow up with all the street captains to make sure that they're still willing to serve?
Yeah, so I'm happy to do it again. So the actions are, and Michael, I just sent you the note I just looked at, was the 5th of May, 2022. That we had the first street captain meeting that I remember, and I sort of sent out some notes afterwards. So I'll do two things. Number one, follow up with the existing street captains and check you guys still game on. Number two, there's 2 vacant street captains. I can reach out to the members of, to the people in those streets and see if we can get new ones.
What streets are vacant, Paul?
It looks like Shepherd Street, Summit Avenue. And I think the dead end of, although Lauren Beale is mentioned, I have a feeling that Lauren sent me an email saying she had a lot on her plate.
Got it.
I'll double check. I can check my email right now. Yeah, brilliant. Who would that be?
Charlie, one of you guys. I know though. It's nice to.
It's a good way to meet people.
Yeah, I know that guy, Charlie. They just had a kid, Charlie and Lucy, right?
Too, yeah.
Where is that mean?
So right bang smack in the middle of Shepherd Street, you know where I am? I've got the Tudor house.
Oh, yes.
It's like
Yeah, well,
red brick Tudor, and so
very
they're right on the
attractive
other side
house.
of me. Thank you.
and I know the guy, I know I've seen him there with. They just had a baby, didn't they?
Yeah. That's super nice.
You know Barbara that lives over there, don't you?
Yeah, Barbara's lovely.
Barbara's a lovely person.
She organizes a book club.
Oh, I didn't know that. And the lady across the street,
Yeah.
her significant other, well, they're not married. He kind of drives a pickup truck. His name is Bill. You know who I'm talking about. And I'm trying to think of her. Oh, jeez.
Bill and Judith.
No, well, maybe I know her by kind of a nickname. Oh, jeez. They're always concerned about their lawn. They got a very small lawn there. And they got the signs up there where the dogs, they don't want them to poop there, but really nice people. Jackie Pollard. Jackie had a brother that lived for many years. He was a Down syndrome child. And her dad was one of the nicest people. I mean, he's been gone for decades. But just lovely people. Also a cat lady like me, cat lady.
Okay, is there anything else with street
So
captains?
we're good with street captains? Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna check they're all still in. I'm gonna recruit Charlie for Shepherd and I'm gonna reach out to Summit. I was wrong. Lauren Beale is still very much in the game.
Great. If you want me to send an email to everyone on the summit and anywhere else, asking if they're willing to serve as street captain,
That's a good idea.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay, awesome.
It'd be on behalf of the
I've got
community
her
engagement
down
committee.
here is quite active.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a good way to, it's better to proceed that way.
If you need to recruit somebody, I can
Yeah.
do it through the village office.
Great, thank you.
And of course, keep me updated too if Charlie's willing to serve.
Yep.
And if anyone else drops off for whatever reason, we can always use that as the model going forward to replace them.
Yep.
Okay, so you want to move on to
Yeah, let's
block
move
parties?
on. Yeah, that's something that I know Paul is interested in doing. The block parties. The one
Well,
on
I mean,
Shepherd Street was the
We had,
last.
yeah, well, Yasmina and a couple of her neighbors on Shepherd Street
And
were,
Paul.
and me, organized really, when was it? Was it May? or
It was in
April?
May, it was
April,
the
May,
week
April?
following the election.
Election,
the
yeah,
village
so,
election.
yeah.
And
That was
Paul,
great.
Paul Iadarola,
Yeah,
you know, Paul, I saw
Yeah,
him today.
yeah.
A lot of nice people over there.
So what do we wanna do? I think that as a committee, do we would just wanna encourage people to have block parties or say, hey, if you can know it's an option or. Yeah,
That could even be part of the.
Oh,
That would be a good way to do that, Susan.
I kind of am not a huge fan of lots of paper. But that is one way to do it, just include it. Actually, the best way would probably be as part of the wrap up for the newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been
do it.
trying to find content for the newsletter because I feel like
Yeah, that'd
it's a
be
little
good.
sparse, so
Yeah.
it would be good to
That'd be a
add
good
some,
way to do it.
And-
post your own block party.
Yeah.
Here's the form.
Yeah, exactly. Put the form in there so people
Yeah.
realize there. has
We,
to
we
be-
do have a policy and the village doesn't financially support block parties, but there is a form to fill out and then we will support you in some other ways.
Tables and
Well,
chairs.
you supported them by being there.
Well, I was there and brought out some chairs and stuff that we had and closed the street as well,
I
which
know,
meant we
I know.
notify the Montgomery County, fire and police.
yeah, you provided some really nice support. Is there a way that we could put block parties on the calendar, the village calendar ahead of time, so people kind of, because we might as well get the Shepherd Street party
Oh,
on the
yeah.
calendar, then that's something where we can start hitting people up, some new blood.
Yeah.
Some new organizers up for
Yeah.
next year, and it's so easy to do.
I think the ones that I've seen tend to be so organic that I don't know that they really want to commit to a time far enough in advance. I mean, they tend to be like, oh, let's do it in 2 weeks on a Friday
Mhm.
or something, so that, it could happen. There might be people who want to schedule it months in advance, but to the extent that it is not a village sponsored event, it's probably just as well not to put it on.
And also, I don't think a lot of people want to invite people from
They-
other
they don't want-
blocks, right?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's typically.
It's only their street.
Very,
So-
not exclusive,
Right.
but space, geographically limited.
So here's my question then. As a community engagement committee, what is our role in promoting block parties? Just get the word out, say, send a couple of glamour shots of the Shepherd Street party. We did that, in the village newsletter. You can do it. The village doesn't sponsor it, but we help with street closures and chairs. How to think about it, guys.
I could mention it at the council meeting. Would that be appropriate?
I think
You-
the way to get the message out to people is in the newsletter.
I think the newsletter is great. If you wanted to write up a little blurb about here's how to throw your own block party with your neighbors or something like that. To encourage people to do
I'll
it. That's
I'll do it.
That would-
You'll do
that's
it?
great.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
You do it.
I'll do it.
I'll reach
I'll-
out.
Okay, I'm gonna write a blurb.
okay.
Wow, I've got multiple action
I
items.
mean, that's an old photos, I could see.
Yeah.
And not current though.
It's probably even better, isn't it? I like old photos better.
Black and white. We'll make it black and white.
You can edit them.
Yeah, okay, cool. So that's good.
You brought some really good ideas to the table here.
All right, so the next,
You, Paul is always bringing them, but I mean, especially you.
That's-
well,
Very-
you
Very innovative.
and you two pulled off the Shepherd Street block party, so now we're just, now you're supposed to do it for the entire village. though.
Right.
Okay, so build a schedule of events for the rest of the year. I don't know that we have a built schedule in front of us. I did bring out my calendar, but do we want to run over the type of events we have just for? Yasmina has
Yeah,
a
well, we
kind of
can
idea.
start with the first one of the year is the La Fern get together. That's the first.
Oh, okay.
event, and that's-
I'm thinking of from now going forward,
Well, from now going
like in
forward,
order.
well, then we've got the Halloween parade, that's, and then we would have. After that, we would have
The winter celebration, right?
winter
When should
celebration.
we do that? We do that like January or February?
Well, I think, perhaps the reason Naomi was reaching out to you was the thought that you would help organize and orchestrate the, however. she called it a
Holiday.
Hanukkah Party, but
Hanukkah.
holiday party. Sort of.
Yeah, we've done that in the
multi-
past. That's a good idea.
So that would be.
Do that in
December,
a couple of months.
At
yeah.
some point in December, probably, to cover all the
Is-
religious and non-religious.
Naomi, are you
holidays.
still on the phone?
No, she dropped off.
Is it a is it a? holiday
Denominational,
policy,
yeah,
multi-denominational
sure.
I
policy?
think it would really need to be.
So I was on that committee meeting and they had one conversation around doing some programming about cultural awareness around the holiday, because they were thinking about doing more than one event. They want to do some sort of like speaker type event on the specific issue of the rise of anti-Semitism. But then they're like, well, let's start with a friendly event. So maybe a holiday party.
Yeah.
And then the idea was, well, we could collaborate with the community engagement committee, but that's all that's been said.
Well,
They
we-
talked dates
um,
briefly, but
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest
Nothing's
they
firm.
need to, formally ask us what they would like and what help they would like from us. But for the time being, like the winter celebration sometime in January, February, it's cold as shit. Go to the fair, have a nice breakfast, drink some mimosas, boom.
Wanna bleep that out?
no,
Uh,
this is a public meeting. I don't edit
Yeah.
these.
I think that's right. I actually jotted down some dates of all the events that happen. But I left my computer at home, so don't have access to it. But so last year we had the La Ferme event in March, right?
It was like
So
March
between
third.
Yeah, we called
March
it,
3rd.
we called it brunch, yeah.
Nothing is happening in the village, right? So, and I know the streets are slippery, et cetera,
Yeah.
but it would be really nice, I think, to have something,
In early December,
yeah.
sure, why not?
Maybe something lower key than the brunch.
Well, another thought was,
Carolyn,
so yes, that crossed my mind. Another thought was, so I've been in other communities where they have like a walk. Like you walk around your community, people put out lanterns, but very non-denominational kind of
Yeah.
events. But it would be nice to do something where, if we already have in March, we have the event of La Ferme, where it's not a repetition of the same event. Or maybe we could bring the La Ferme event, bring it up a little bit. But have something where maybe the street captains could organize a table with warm cider or something else, and cookies. And then you could go from one street to another and just see decorations or something. I don't know. I was just trying to think of something
Like the
different that we could
luminaria
do.
walks and
Yeah,
lanterns and
yeah.
Christmas lights or
And it would-
holiday lights.
And it could be an opportunity if a committee, if the anti-Semitism committee wants to highlight special traditions, that could be an opportunity too. We could overlap, I don't know. There could be many, many different ways of doing this.
I love it. Innovative, creative ideas. Welcome to the committee. Yes. I do think, that we've talked about a holiday event, and then the community brunch ended up being more of a late winter, early spring kind of event with mimosas at La Ferme. I think that was a great event. I think we should do it again. But it does seem like there's this 5-month gap here with no event. So it seems like right in the middle of that, right around the holidays would be good.
Yeah. Good.
I've been doing walks with whoever shows up with me on Friday, which is normally Keith and one other person or something. And I have been thinking about that a lot because it's a small enough village to walk it in one day in an afternoon scroll. And it really does make you aware of the community, and you meet people and you see things. And I mean, I think it's a great community engagement building activity. I think Keith agrees with that, and has enjoyed those walks with me. So I think doing a big annual walk or something like that, where all the different streets and all the kids could come out and do stuff. I love it. So that would be,
yeah,
and that's a
were
low
remarking
lift. It's
the
not
other day
gonna be
when
a
we
lot.
walked it, how beautiful your house is.
Oh,
I had never, Yeah, that was Michael and I thought,
And I haven't even mowed my lawn.
I was looking at the lawn.
So that would be, what do you think would be the best timing for that? Early December, before it gets too cold?
Probably we should check and
It's
see.
a good idea, yeah,
when-
before it gets too cold. And I mean, if we want to do luminaries, it would obviously be after sunset, but.
But it
could
wouldn't
also-
have
it
to
doesn't have
it
to
could
be a
an
night
afternoon.
event either,
Actually, it's
you know.
probably
Yeah.
better for
We can,
small families with small children to do it in the afternoon. Late
yeah,
afternoon or something, and have hot chocolate and cookies.
Yeah, maybe,
or
I mean, if we,
cider.
at
Yeah.
the risk of getting, making it too complicated. If we have 4 or 5 like houses or stations across the village,
Mm.
one with hot chocolate, one with. Something else,
Mhm.
I'll volunteer to supply whiskey.
I knew that was coming.
My wife just,
Have a little-
my wife who's
Okay.
listening just volunteered to do a muddled wine station at our house.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great.
But I also really like the idea of the lanterns. I think I was Googling what they look like. I mean, it would be really pretty too. So, I love that idea.
What would you say about reaching out to Naomi, just getting back to her and proposing this idea to the committee and
Yeah,
seeing if
they
there's
could have
something,
a station. They could have a
Yeah.
Station.
yeah, if that would be something they would be interested
Yeah.
in joining us in.
That's great. That's a easy low lift idea for them to join and do something that's friendly and
Awesome.
And less
on topic for
expensive.
them.
Yeah.
And we can coordinate it by maybe, renting tables for each of the booths and, supplying a little bit of the, supplying cups or something like that for hot drinks. And then the host family that's putting that table together can bring their own drinks or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe we can even buy the lanterns, and the village could pay for that. I think that would work.
Excellent.
So we're gonna move forward on that.
Paper bags with the tea candles.
Oh, yeah, like the underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs a name,
You
but we
can
need a-
Cut out, so the
Yeah, so that
cardboard
you can-
inserts that can be cut out in different ways.
That's
Let's,
actually what I've seen.
Let's just
I
not
think
light
we did
something
that
on
one.
fire. I'm gonna check my insurance policy before we continue this conversation.
What we're gonna have to call it something catchy, like the Village Walk, the Walk of VMA. It needs a name, it needs a name.
That wasn't very catchy. but The walk.
The Walk of VMA, okay. right, well-
But yeah, it's a bit, well, maybe we need a few Irish whiskeys to think of.
Yeah.
Don't encourage Paul.
Lantern walk, Bill says in the chat.
Lantern Walk, yeah. Good.
So that brings us to, I guess, public comments.
There's no public here.
Marty,
Wow. You miss Marty, don't you?
well, she's always here.
Yes, she is.
So just before we get to the public comments, after March, it's July, and then we're back to October, so those are really the main ones.
I think the celebration on the sidewalk.
Celebration on the sidewalk, May, yeah.
But then.
Yeah, so it's 4th of July,
And then movie
Halloween.
Movies
Oh, yeah.
before Halloween.
4th of July.
We're gonna do 2 movies. We're gonna do one in August and September.
We already did 2 movies. So 4th of July, 2 movies, Halloween, holiday related walk, brunch, winter brunch, celebration on the sidewalk. That's 7 events.
Winter
Winter Walk.
Winter walk.
That's nice.
Yeah, I
And
think
it'll be
that's
75
a good
degrees.
amount of events.
7 events is great.
It's
Yeah,
Okay.
enough. It's not gonna be, they're not all high ticket items.
Yeah.
It's just good to have a balance
very good.
for our budget.
Michael, check tomorrow or this week and find out who we used for the pizzas,
Yeah, will do.
and that would go
It
back.
wasn't Lido's, was it?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't, Lido's, we don't know. It's not
Susan's
Lido's.
gonna lose sleep
No,
trying to
this-
remember this pizza.
This was down, we're down on Wisconsin Avenue. I think it's Chicago Pizzeria.
Okay.
I think so. Check and see if I'm not right
Well,
about
there's,
that.
yeah, there'll be.
It's been a while
Or
since
we
we,
can-
We could, absolutely. Okay, so we're good to go. Phil, thank you very much for being with us.
Fantastic.
I guess Naomi's dropped off. What was the gentleman's name that was,
Matt,
Matt was here, I don't know, but that may have been on the wrong meeting, but would still like to
Yep.
meet Matt personally, so maybe he'll come
Alrighty.
see us during the Halloween event.
Yep.
And thank you,
Thank
Nina, for
thank
your,
you, everybody.
you were
Thank
great
you,
here.
Michael,
You
for all
brought
the
some great
preparation.
ideas
and
here.
organization.
yeah, it's my pleasure.
Like,
You'll
we've
have-
been organizing it all for so many years.
Well, I've been